evening. A really warm welcome to Flourish 26. I can see some of you. Oh, the lights are going up a bit, or am I just getting used to it? I don't know. Anyway, hands up if you've done all 3 flourishes now. Yay, that's great. Hands up if this is your first experience of a flourish. Oh, quite a lot. Oh, yeah, indeed, yeah. It's great to have Zac and the band here. Thank you. Well, whichever category or whatever category, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It would have been really quite sad to come out and find no one there. No, seriously, thank you. I'm such a big fan of doing things like this occasionally as part of our spiritual journey. And I wonder why I'm such a big fan. I think partly because an event such as this is part of my story. Like some of you, I went to Spring Harvest quite a bit, late teens, early 20s. It was a point in my life where I was really happy belonging to the church, but I really wasn't sure about my faith. But I'd grown up in the church, and my best friends were at church, so why would I not go to church? But what about God? I did not know. And I went to Spring Harvest because my friends went to Spring Harvest, so I went with them. And I have to say, for the first 2 years at Spring Harvest, I really struggled because some of you will know the Spring Harvest is a big tent and like there's 5,000 or 6,000 folk and they all seem to be absolutely tip-top full of faith. And there was me thinking, I'm just not in the same place as you. And I found it really lonely at Spring Harvest in that crowd of thousands. And I think it was the 3rd year I went, I thought, I can't do with this big tent thing anymore. And I found a quieter space of worship. And a guy called John Pantry was leading the worship that night. Some of you may know him. And I can't remember what he preached about, but at the end of that night, I remember that he said this. He said, some of you here, there's some of you, you're like a pan with the lid on. And you need to take the lid off and let God in. It's not the most theological thing that's ever been said, is it? And as I say, I can't remember the text or anything about it, but you know, for me that night, in that moment, that was just what I needed to hear. And forever since, that's been such a key part of my testimony, that in that place, that man said that rather strange thing. Someone's really keen to get in touch with us. and everything changed for me. Everything changed for me. And so I'm a big fan of these gatherings, not just because we can gather like this all together and there'll be loads more folk joining us tomorrow, but because it offers us opportunities that are different to what we have week by week. You know, the regular weekly diet of whatever our Christian journey is, and that's really valuable as well. We don't need to remember every meal as banquet. We sometimes just need the regular diet. But a weekend like this is a weekend in which God can do a new thing within us. God can pour his grace into our lives in a new way. So if you, like me, going to Spring Harvest, if you've come reluctantly, I'm really excited for you, for what God might do. And we remember as the people called Methodists, don't we, that Wesley went reluctantly. It seems like God really loves people who go reluctantly to things like this. So however it is you come, I just hope and pray that with me tonight, as we step into this weekend, we'll just be keen to try and make space for God, to make space for grace. In the huge range of opportunities that there are in so many different ways, I pray that God will meet with you and that you'll have a story to tell when you go home about how God has done something new in your life. All our prayers will have been answered for this weekend if you go home with a story of how God's done something fresh in your life over this weekend. Are we up for that? We've got this theme of woven threads, 4 threads. What's to be rediscovered about God's call in your life? Maybe you've just become a little bit, you're on the conveyor belt of doing your life, and maybe God's wanting to help you rediscover a freshness in your call. Rediscovering curiosity at the heart of faith. That isn't just something we sit back and just absorb, but actually it's something to be wrestled with and good questions to be asked and debated and disagreed with without being disagreeable and really worked through. Rediscovering justice in the life of the world, how this world needs God's justice. And rediscovering, I love this one, rediscovering revolution at the heart of church. What it is to be a revolutionary people, because we know a God who longs to spiritually transform us and to socially transform the land. So I hope that you'll play with the tapestry of this weekend's program, that it might be for you a space for grace. I could tell you about all the wonderful things, but it's all in the program, and I'd miss too many things out. There's treasure in this program, isn't there? And I really hope that you'll make the most of it over this weekend. Tonight we gather to worship and to just begin to dig into some of the conversation. Let's make space for God's grace amongst us this weekend. Holy Spirit, come amongst us. Breathe your life, your love, your light into our souls. As we've traveled to this place, now make us at home in your company. May your grace flow amongst us. In Jesus' name, amen. We're going to have some sung worship. We'll stand or sit or whatever is easiest and best for us. Thank you, Zac.
If you feel comfortable, can I invite you to stand?
Hello again. We thought tonight that we'd go for what we've described in the planning, loose planning, a one-show vibe. We dilly-dallied with Graham Norton. That will depend on the guests' contributions, I think. But anyway, here we are, Ruth. You're looking down on me, rather, which is...
Yes, it's rather nice.
But anyway, here we are doing kind of one showy type thing. So I've said a little bit about why I'm really looking forward to the weekend. Ruth, what is it that you're coming tonight with in your heart?
Well, I was surprised that John Pantry featured in your life. I have to say, I don't know whether I was surprised. I thought I was a lot older than you, but apparently not. But I went to Filey Holiday Christian Crusade. Do you remember those, some of you?
Ooh. I
went twice. The second time I didn't want to go. There seems to be a theme going on. The only thing that was drawing me to it was the table tennis, I have to say. And I too I suppose I was searching. I was in and around church, but nothing seemed to click. And I went to lots of things during that week, as well as the table tennis, but I went to an evening thing that was, the youth event. And it was John Pantry.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow, gosh.
And
you should have planned this even. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
There we are.
It was there that, for me, things began to slot into place.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know that about
John Pantry. Hands up if you know John Pantry. Bet you all wish you'd known him a long time ago now, the impact he's had. Yeah.
Great guy. Yeah. It was an event, similar to this in that sense, that really helped me to take that step that I think I'd heard about so much in church, in the regularity of it all, but it was going somewhere else and seeing other people that, seemed to take this really seriously and were looking for something more from God in their lives that really clicked with me. So events like this, I do too think are important, because they take us to a bigger vision, I think, of, what God can do and what God is doing in people's lives. And if you're in small churches, which some of us are, and you see just the same people who you love, but you just see the same people, and you tend to hear the same music, to come to something that is bigger and more varied, I think, is just so important. It weaves something in. You didn't respond.
See what you did
to
there?
that.
Yeah.
Shall we try it again?
You'll be so worn out of that by singular.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, but they'll get the thread in the end.
Yeah, and Naomi, if you're listening, can we just invite John Pantry next time? Obviously, he's the key person to invite. He's still around. Anyway, no, that's great. So, yeah, our prayers for this. Well, before we do invite a range of folk who are just going to be joining us tonight on the stage, the first people that we want to invite significantly are those who are taking a lead in our safeguarding of this weekend. And so it's my pleasure to welcome special Viz jackets and all, not one Bridget, but two Bridgets. Bridget and Bridget. There we are. Thank you very much.
It makes it really easy to remember, doesn't it?
I know. You don't have to be Bridget to be a safeguarding officer, but it obviously helps. Anyway, thank you. Bridget, welcome. Bridget Bennett, just introduce yourself first of all.
Yes, I'm Bridget Bennett, and I worship in Selby, part of our district.
Yay. Sorry.
And Ruth is my minister.
Slightly biased.
And I'm a church safeguarding officer and a circuit safeguarding officer, and I sit on the district safeguarding group. So I do a lot of safeguarding.
We're very grateful. Thank you. And t'other Bridget.
T'other Bridget, yeah, I'm Bridget Down, and I actually am here from Devon.
Hey.
So I worship as part of the Methodist community in the West Devon circuit, and have a passion for safeguarding, which is lived out in daily life, very much within the connectional team, which I really enjoy, as well as being a foundation governor for Multi Academy Trust, leading on safeguarding. So, yeah, all good.
Brilliant, thank you. You're both really welcome. So tell me, why did you volunteer? Because I think you did. Why did you volunteer to be the safeguarding leads at quite a big, complex event such as this?
I'll go first, shall I? For me, safeguarding is the heart of mission, right? Actually, Jesus has the blueprint for that mission, and Jesus was all about looking out for the margins, looking out for the people that are lost, people who people just don't notice. And ultimately, safeguarding to me is a safe welcome to all, an inclusive welcome to all. And so therefore, I'm so passionate about safeguarding, because if we get safeguarding right, we get mission right, and we get welcome right.
It's difficult to follow that, really, isn't it? But I think equally, I've spent my life doing social work and social worky type things, and I've always had a passion for safeguarding. I've worked in the sort of sharp end of stuff, but a gathering like this, it's a place where we want everybody just to feel safe. It's somewhere that you're pleased to be, and if there are things then that it kind of brings up, or something happens, just to have some space where you can come and talk to somebody, or, we want you to be able to do that, rather than thinking, oh, I don't quite like this, I don't know what to do with it. So, which is why Bridget and Bridget, if you shout Bridget, one of us will turn up. Whether it's the right one, well, that's a different matter, isn't it? But, yes, so I think equally, a bit like Bridget, I have a passion for safeguarding, and we just want people to feel that this is a nice place to be, and it's a safe place to be.
Great, thank you. And we're so grateful for all the ways in which you've helped in the planning and the preparation for this gathering, which has just helped us to think things through sometimes. But we just acknowledge being here, a lot of people in a venue that none of us know that well, and a publicly open venue in parts as well through part of the weekend. So we just wanted to, to name the significance of safeguarding at the heart of this event, because it's at the heart of our mission, as you so rightly say. And just to declare that, that's a real commitment that we want to live into through this weekend. And so you'll see signs around the place that I think names you, Bridget Bennett, with a phone number, but the phone might move between you, I guess. But ring that number, contact anyone else in a high-vis jacket if there's anything that just feels a concern. There's a prayer team, a chaplaincy team as well. So, you know, at whatever level, if there's someone that you just feel like it would be helpful for you to talk to, hopefully you can find that person through this weekend. So thank you so much indeed. Thank you. And we also just wanted to take the opportunity of being here together for this weekend to introduce someone who's fairly newly part of our district staff team, and that's Fran Taylor, and Ian Rutherford, for reasons that will become clear, is going to join Fran too on the stage. So let's just give a real welcome to Fran and to Ian. Thank you.
I'm a little bit distracted because you can't see what I can see, which I can't see you. But all I can see is like luminous edges to people in high-vis jackets. And it's really weird. I just thought I'd share that with you. Hello, Fran.
Hello. At least we know where they are.
Yes, at least we know where they are. That's absolutely
Kind of the point.
So, Fran, who are you?
Oh, that's a good question. So I'm Fran Taylor. I worship at Acomb in York. Yeah.
Got a fan base.
Yeah, I know, first time. But I am the new faith-rooted community organising lead. It's that fancy.
Well, I just have it written down here as FRCO, and I have to confess that I'm not sure that I've ever accurately said the words yet in the right order. I can't get it. I can't get it. So, but what I do know is that you were given a mission by someone within Connection to be able to explain what faith-rooted community organising
well done, all right.
actually is. But the thing is, she's got to do it in a minute. So
Yeah.
I've got a new watch, just to tell you that. And it's got a timer on it. I don't know how to use that, so I'm just going to look at the seconds.
Oh, there you go.
Because we're going to give her a minute, and there are others who could join me, I think, if they've got their batteries on. So, Fran, no pressure. You have 1 minute to tell us what is FRCO.
Okay, so I think the important thing is that FRCO isn't anything new. I think we've been doing community organising as humans and as Christians and as Methodists for years and years now. And John Wesley got everyone into cell groups because he knew that community builds faith and faith builds good communities. So it's going back to that. It's about listening really deeply to communities, seeing where God is at work out there, and the church, congregations, volunteers coming alongside that work to build a better community and build faith and share the love of God with people out there. Does that do? Do I pass? Who knows?
So what does... I don't know whether you're clapping me or Fran. I'm a bit sensitive, so I'm hoping it's me. What does that mean you will be doing then?
So my role is to support FRCO as it happens out there in communities. So to support volunteers, ministers, whether lay, but also, you know, unpaid volunteers and church communities in going through, we've got a set of practices, a really good way of thinking about how you engage with your community well, which ultimately just starts fundamentally with listening to what people outside of the church or inside the church, but those communities, especially those that are facing adversity or poverty and discrimination, things that, you know, are called in our justice-seeking church to really kind of tackle. So listening to them deeply. And I can support churches, circuits, and everyone across the district in those principles and doing really good community building well.
That's great. And you're here all weekend, aren't you?
I am.
And you've got a FRCO. Did you hear that
Yeah.
Where I said FRCO, obviously, that's so last year. So it's now FRCO. I can get that one. You've got to stand?
Yeah, so I'll be about. I'm in the Kairos yurt a lot of the time. We'll be in here for the Be Inspired session, looking at justice-seeking projects. Myself and lovely Ian are doing a FRCO session in the second workshop slot tomorrow, so come join us. But ultimately, I really want to connect with people. I want to hear what's going on, where things are bubbling up. So find me. I'm wearing my hoodie, so very obvious.
Brilliant.
And if you don't find me over the weekend, but you want to connect and drop me a bell, my information's all on the website.
Thank you very much. That's
Wonderful.
very good.
I really think you should get a fur coat.
Yeah.
Every time you say FRCO, because I'm an FRCO chap as well, I think FRCO, oh, get a fur coat. Ian, you would look amazing in a fur coat.
Thank you very much indeed. I didn't bring it with me.
Ian, thank you so much for coming. So just, continue the conversation, because I know FRCO is a key part of how you offer the ministry that you're offering in Manchester and so on.
Yeah, sure. I think it's for all of us to build our power together to make change within our communities. And so we're going to be exploring in our workshop what it means to think about ourselves first and what drives me for justice. And then to actually, as we're talking about, listening deeply to our communities. And then asking the question, what is our power together? Because we need to be doing something within our society. When we think about justice-seeking church, we've already got the 5 priorities of poverty, environment, refugees, peace and discrimination. But what are we actually doing about those things within our communities? That's why FRCO and broad-based community organising is so important. I mean, I'm the National Leadership Team Chair of Citizens UK. We've got 20 chapters across the UK in England and Wales. And actually, we're looking to build very strong alliances within those places. And we'd be really grateful if you could think about maybe being involved in the chapter yourselves if you're not already part of Citizens UK. So you'll be hearing a bit about that too tomorrow, building relational power to make change.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ian. So Ian is just such an amazing guy to know, Methodist minister in the city centre of Manchester. If you become a friend of Ian on Facebook, then probably like me, you'll just wonder, some people, how do you manage to cram so many things into your life? And I look at you, Ian, and I just think, I don't know how you do it. It's amazing. Because you just seem to have that wonderful gift of being able to get into different conversations and being part of different projects in such a way. And I think the church is so blessed by the ministry that you're offering in Manchester and beyond. Amazing stuff. So thank you for all that you're offering. And another thing that you're involved in the midst of all of that, is Methodist Insurance.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So
don't laugh. They're our big sponsor. They gave us loads of money, didn't they? So that was. We're very grateful. So thank you.
Here's the big pitch for me. So obviously, I'm a director of Methodist Insurance, based in Manchester and in Gloucester. And we're so pleased to be the lead sponsor of this amazing event. It's the first time I've been to Flourish, but so far, so good. It's just great to see everybody together. Methodist Insurance, of course, as you know, we're extremely proud to have been safeguarding and protecting Methodist churches for over 150 years. And what's more, we have our Methodist Grants Programme, which is funded primarily from donations from Methodist Insurance. And this year, we've reached a key milestone. Over the past decade, since 2016, we've now provided over £20 million in Methodist grant funding to Methodist churches in the connection. We've supported a really wide range of church and community building engagement projects, and it might be that you've actually benefited from one of those grants. I can't see you if you wave at me now, but if you have, tell your friends about it, and if you haven't, why don't you think about applying for a Methodist grant? Come to our stand and you'll be able to hear much more about it. Julian's with us today and tomorrow. You can pick up your free copy of Dialogue, and you can also just find out how that grant making can make a real difference. Also, you'll be able to get the best pen ever Methodist Insurance, and you'll
We
also
love a
be able
pen. We love a
to
pen.
get one of these torches. So that when Zac is doing one of those really brilliant worship situations, you can light up this place with your light. So the best merch is on the Methodist Insurance stand. So we'd love you to be part of it, and we'd love you to be insured by Methodist Insurance. So please come and talk to us at the stand. End of pitch.
You did that very well. Have you got chocolate as well or not?
I'm sure we can organise chocolate.
Oh, that's good, yeah. Okay, no, brilliant. Thank you so much for that, and that's great. And seriously, you know, as an event, we're really grateful for the support of Methodist Insurance. And there are churches in our district which have benefited from the grants that you're talking about, so that's tremendous stuff. So, Fran, Ian, thank you so much for coming up onto the One Show. It's been great to have you here. Thank you very much. Thank you. And our final three guests tonight, we're going to invite up now are Richard and Matt and Genesis. So please, can you give a big hand to those three? Thank you. Wonderful. Welcome. Thank you very much indeed. So this is quite something, folks. This really is, because here we have. I wondered how you were going to arrange yourselves. I was wondering what was going to happen. Here we have the youth president, the vice president, and the president. And you know, the conference office doesn't know they're all together in one place. Is there a designated survivor anywhere hanging around? You know,
we're a bit like the royal family, I think. We're not supposed generally to kind of travel together, but tonight especially.
So it's fantastic that you've all been able to make the time in busy diaries to be a part of Flourish. We're really grateful to everyone. Maybe Genesis, can I start with you, our youth president? Just a little bit about who you are, where you're from. I know where you're from. That's great. But anyway, get onto that in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Genesis. I'm from Barnsley, which is in the Sheffield district. Leslie was preaching at my church when I was very little. Not that you're that old. I'm just quite young, that's all. And I'm youth president of the Methodist Church 25 to 26. And my job's really just to travel around the UK and visit different youth groups to encourage young people and to really encourage leaders and adults in the church to give young people a chance, to give them a voice. Yeah. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah, brilliant. I'll come back to you in a moment. And Matt, just a word of introduction from yourself. So who are you?
Well, evening, everybody. Ooh, good to hear you all. My name's Matt. You call me Matthew or Andrew, David. They're my brother's names. I'll answer to them too. But I get the privilege of serving as the Vice President of the Methodist Church this year. But I come from a place called Peterborough. So if you travel on the East Coast Main Line, give us a wave next time. That's where we reside. Another thing about me, where we reside as well, I live actually where the world becomes flat. It's called the Fens. So already, any hills around here, I'm going to struggle. So if you see me struggling, you know why. But that's a bit about me. And my wonderful 3 kids and my wife are here with me as well. So do come and say hi to them too.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. And Richard?
Well, I'm Richard. I'm here with my 2 young sons today, as you can tell. I'm president of the conference this year. Normally, I'm chair of the Darlington district. I kind of work as a missionary and cultural attaché up there in the northeast because I'm actually from Yorkshire, and it's from a place called Northallerton, where I came to faith. Which is just a way of showing that actually this is God's own county, because God met me there, and I became a follower of Jesus there.
Fantastic, great. So I know that part of what you offer as presidential team, as presidency, is a ministry of visitation. You go and visit, and you go and see, and you go and engage with what God is up to around the place. So I just wonder if each of you just might be able to just share it with us. Something so far in the year that is just lodging in your mind as something significant that you've seen or a story that you've heard or something. Shall we just go along? Matt, is that okay?
Yeah, certainly. For me, what stands out is throughout this year is God's grace. We talked about, grace turning up. And for me, grace has been personified by what people would probably ascribe to things that seem ordinary. I don't know if you kind of stepped into this space today and come into this space thinking, well, my life's just ordinary. But actually for me, one of the biggest blessings of this year has been to step into other people's, what they seem to think is just simply ordinary work, ordinary activity, or ordinary acts of love and grace. But it's not. It's extraordinary. And just last week, I was up in Newcastle District and got chatting to this couple called George and Sylvia. And George and Sylvia have been serving in their local church for over 30 years. And they showed me this book of pictures compiled of their story of what they've been up to and the community's been up to. And for me, every picture told a different story of God's grace. And so my encouragement and my blessing I've had this year is seeing God in extraordinary ways through things that often will seem to be ascribed as ordinary. But I really hope that if you've come into this space today thinking, oh, my life's just ordinary, actually as this woven thread and conversation takes place this weekend, you see that God is doing extraordinary things in your life as well. So that's been a real blessing for me.
Great, thanks, Matt. Thank you. Genesis.
A lot of my job is going around and visiting different youth groups and district events and circuit events. And I was at a youth group near Oxford a couple of months ago.
Whoop, whoop, that's my district. No one else whooped, so I thought I'd just...
Yeah. And there was this youth group I visited, and it was led and run by a young chap at age 13. That's 1-3.
Wow.
And he had seen that there was something missing in his area for young people. There wasn't anything there. And he thought, there needs to be a change, you know? And so he's created a youth group at his church for other young people, for his friends, for other people around the area who just want to seek faith, who just want to listen to worship, who just want to be there together in a place where they might not have stepped in otherwise. And it's just stuck with me that a young person at 13 has been given the opportunity to do something so incredible, and it's been paid off. You know, it's just been truly amazing.
Wow, that's a great story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite often we think, you know, that God, there's no age limit on God's continuing to call us into stuff, but at the higher end, but no age limit at the earlier, younger end too either. That's a fantastic story. Thank you for sharing that. Not bad for Oxford, I suppose. That's good. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. And Richard.
The presidential theme this year is Our Story, Our Song, because we believe that everybody has a story to tell, everybody has a song to sing, and right in the midst of that you will meet God there. And I think one of the things we've noticed is actually just how extraordinary God's people are. Actually, as you go around the Methodist Connection, just how extraordinary God's people are. They don't often recognise it, but actually they really are extraordinary. And I think one of the things you really notice, you get obviously a chance to go to some amazing things, but it's the really small things that really stay with you. So I'm just going to go to the other end of the age scale from Genesis, and just a very short story, something that happened to me in September. I've been invited to take part in a Q&A at a rural mission and ministry course up on the North Yorkshire moors. And I had a morning free just to get there, you see, because I didn't have to be there until the afternoon. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with my morning? And I thought, I'll go and see Edith. Now, Edith Bramall, some of you will know, is a minister's widow in Pickering. And she and... hello, Pickering. Anybody from Oxford? No? That's and she and her husband, Frank, were really significant in like John Pantry to Debbie and me as we were in our later teens. And I thought, I'll go and see her. I hadn't seen her for a number of years. We keep in contact through Facebook and so on. So we went and had a conversation, a cup of coffee. She's 91 years of age. And then after about half an hour, she said, will you come to my Bible study group, she said. They're meeting next door. They've never seen a president before, she said. And so we went next door. And we had another coffee, and we kind of talked around the group, wonderful group of women. And then she said, we're now going to pray for you. And it was the most humbling and powerful experience, actually, that I've had in the whole of the year. Actually being commissioned for the year by a woman who was really deeply important to me, but 91 years of age. It's kind of sense, actually, that never leaves us, that calling, whether we're 13 or whether we're 91.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Wonderful. Just let some of that absorb into us. It's good stuff. Yeah, clap her for it. Yeah, but it's amazing, isn't it? The stories of God, day by day, moment by moment, breaking into what we sometimes just say is ordinary. God's extraordinary.
So I was thinking that if Edith knew you were telling that story, she would think, well, it was just, that shrug of the shoulder that does feel ordinary, doesn't feel extraordinary. Yeah. It is humbling, isn't it?
Amazing.
That God is at work in us. And if you turn to someone that you've come with, probably the story of your life wraps with the story of their life. And the exploration of faith we do together, don't we, with each other, alongside one another.
Thank you. Thank you for that sharing. That's great. So Genesis, through this weekend with us, I think you're going to be hanging out with the young people, children and young people, is that right? Now, I did see, are the youth here still? No? Oh, yes, there. Yeah. No, I think I recognize it because at one moment when the lights came on, there was a different coloured hoodie. Is that right? What colour are your hoodies? What colour's my hoodie?
Blue.
Yeah, you see, I'm colourblind. This is why I'm doing this. So you're light blue, dark blue. Is that about right?
Or dark blue, yeah.
I'm dark blue, yeah, and you're light blue. Excellent. So fantastic, and huge thanks to the youth team from around the district who are helping to lead those and be with those folks. And are the children in now as well? Not en masse, no. So they're busy doing their own thing, but maybe you'll be hanging with, I don't know whether you'll be hanging through the children and the youth.
They're both, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. So thank you for that, because that is an important thread of our weekend together, the activities that they'll do separately and as part of the whole mix. So we hope and pray, Genesis, that you'll have a wonderful weekend. So we're going to sing a song in just a moment, and then I think, Genesis, you're going to go and maybe hang with the young people, I think. And Matt and Richard, you're going to stay, and we're going to have a bit more conversation. We've been very one show and not much Graham Norton show so far, do you think?
I've been looking for the chair. Kind of worried now.
Okay, well, we'll have a song and then we'll see where we get to, eh? Anyway, okay, thank you. Zac? Oh, he's here, very good, excellent. Thank you, Zac. So, great. You knew this was going to happen, did you? Yeah. Oh, thank goodness for that. Right, excellent. Good. Let's worship God and then we'll continue our chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard, I don't know if you remember, but quite a few years ago, I think possibly before either of us were in the roles of chair that we're in now, we met up for a coffee at Clifton Moor Costa on a hot, do you remember the afternoon? Tesco car park, nothing but posh us two. And there we were, sat outside having this cup of coffee.
There is a Betty's, by the way, in Europe.
And we got into conversation, and I think we were just chewing the cud about Methodism, probably. And I asked a good question, which doesn't necessarily happen very, very often. But I said, so what do you think it is that's special about, what is it that's unique about Methodism, I remember asking you. And I remember because the answer you gave me, which has just set me into a whole thing, which probably some people in the district are quite bored with now, all about grace, because your answer was grace. And it bowled me over at the time. And I just thought maybe we'd start there. I know I've not prepped this with you, but we'd just start there about why did you say that to me when I asked you that question?
I thought I said quiche and green barrel coffee. Grace. I think grace kind of runs throughout our theme this year, actually, and because I think it's kind of formed and shaped the people that we are and what we believe to be important about Methodism. Because grace is kind of woven through the fabric of the world, and it's woven through the fabric of every life. Now, we may not always recognise it. I think that actually that's one of the challenges of the gospel, actually, about seeing and believing. Kind of particularly a number of us studying John's gospel at the moment, a particularly strong theme, this idea of seeing and believing. So grace is just the very character of who God is. And grace is the way in which God approaches us in Jesus Christ. So it is light, it is love, it is hope, it is all of those things. And I think God invites us in every moment to notice that and how God is at work. And this is something I saw on Facebook the other day. Somebody's challenging people by saying, you know, we're here in this world and we think we're the resistance. We're not the resistance. We are the river. We are the river. Because actually what we are trying to live, the sign that we are becoming, is what the world is supposed to be about, recreated in grace. So I'm passionate about grace because that is how God is to us in Jesus Christ.
So thank you for that. So just give us a vision of, so how does that actually play out so that it can be true to say what is kind of unique, distinctive of Methodism is grace? How do you see that playing out in who we are and who we can be at our best, do you think?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think in one sense you might say Methodism is a form of classical Christianity. In one sense, you know, it's not different from other strands of tradition, but there may be some distinctive things that we offer as a gift to the whole of the universal church and to the world. And I think that's what we need to really focus on. I think we are a tradition that really values and places an emphasis upon what it means to be created in the image of God. I might tell you a story about that a little bit later, if there's a chance. And therefore, there's something unique about every individual. You know, we talk about all the time in our hymns. You know, all are called in Jesus Christ. Every individual is made in the image of God and therefore should be infinitely respected and honoured. But beyond that, I think there's a strong sense in Methodism about grace, about justifying grace, that we are called beyond that into a living relationship with Jesus Christ. And not only that, and this is the very distinctive Methodist emphasis, we are called towards perfect love. Now, none of us will ever be perfect, but actually Jesus' love for us is perfect. And day by day, we're called into that reality. And as we're called into that reality, the world around us changes and becomes a different place. And I think that's a very distinctive part of our tradition.
Great, thank you. And Matt, you shared a story of grace, when you spoke just a few minutes ago, so that was great. But I mean, how do you enter into this conversation in terms of your thoughts about God and Methodism and grace?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, both in the role of Vice President, but also doing my day-to-day role in the Northampton district, is...
Solo whooping's becoming a real thing, isn't it?
Is what I've experienced when I encounter and speak with churches, when I ask them, tell me a bit about yourself. And I dare say if I ask the same question to any of you in this room, I hope I probably will hear the answer. The first thing they'll say is, first thing you need to know about us is that we are a welcoming church. And that's such a loaded phrase, though, isn't it? A welcoming church. But actually, I think, what does that look like for us to welcome with grace on our hearts, there on show for people to experience? And I think for me, my experience of Methodism, not being someone that was born into a Methodist family and kind of come to Methodism in my kind of early adulthood, if you like, what I experienced was grace personified by a welcome, not just at the door, but actually a welcome in our circumstances, a welcome in who we were as a family, a welcome in who we are as people at a soul level. And I think that's what Methodism has to offer, is a grace that's felt not just in the feelings, but at a soul level that changes who we are into that pursuit of holiness, I dare say, as well.
Thank you, that's great. And maybe a story or two that you can share of what's been happening this year, what you've encountered where, oh, my word, grace.
Yeah, I think there's a story which I've shared with you, I think, Leslie, before, which has really stood out to me. It was early in January, actually. I was down in the southern southwest peninsula district, as it's now called. Woo! My goodness. People are here from all over.
Bridget.
I don't say anything now, just in case I was shocked to my system. And on the Friday night, I went to a hairdressing salon, a Christian hairdressing salon, set up by the district and by the local circuit in Plymouth, called Rev 7, and an amazing minister called Darren Middleton down there. And Darren has learnt the art of hairdressing, and this is a hairdressing salon that is set up primarily to serve those who are on the margins. So they provide free haircuts on a Wednesday for those who are addicts or addiction problems, those who are impoverished, people having problems with their lives, and they do that every Wednesday. And as we were going around the shop, I was doing a little video which went onto Facebook. Some of you might even have seen it. And Darren took me to a corner of the salon, and he pointed at the tiles, and he said, "Look at the grout, look at the grout." And in the grout was all this glitter. He said, "That's what we do. We look for the glitter in the grout." And it was just by the wash basin where you will wash somebody's hair. And he said, "When I have somebody's head in my hands, I pray for them, because I just feel this is something distinctive, that I'm kind of honouring them in that." And there was a young man there who had been baptised about 3 weeks before in the sea, my goodness, and down near Plymouth, called Danny. And Danny, only a few months before, Danny was a heroin addict. He'd been living out in the woods in his tent. The only means of heat he had was a candle. He used to kind of keep in a bean tin. He was selling his body in order to feed his addiction. He'd come into the salon, and he'd been loved, and he'd been respected, and he'd been led to Jesus. Now that's a story of grace. And it doesn't matter whether you're Methodist or anything else. It's a story of grace. And it just, I think, just shows us that God is at work. God is at work. Just trust it. Follow it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Ruth?
Yes, I mean, we were... Leslie told me a little bit about the glitter. I'm not into glitter particularly, but, that whole idea of the grout being something... It is something that holds everything together, isn't it? And it reminded me of the Japanese... Do you know it? What's it called? Kintsugi. Do you know Kintsugi? Have we got an image? I think we maybe have an image for the screen.
I've got an image on Sunday. I'm using it in my sermon.
Right, okay.
Here we go.
Spoiler alert.
Same image.
It's the same image. It wasn't me. But I've come across this before. I don't know whether you have. It's a Japanese art form that takes broken pots and puts them back together with this golden... It's not called glue, is it? I can't remember the name, but golden glue.
Go to Richard's sermon and he'll tell you.
Yeah. Tune in. But I've seen this a number of times and been really fascinated by it. And when Leslie told me about the glitter in the tiles at the salon, it just made me think of that idea of the fact that celebrating the pot, regardless of its brokenness, is done by this golden thread of glue that is there. And I find that really helpful. I find it helpful in my own life to know my brokenness is, it doesn't cancel me out, the things that are around me. But I have to say, it's the whole conversation about grace, I don't know whether it's just me, but I find it quite a struggle when I look at things that I see in society, and I'm looking at the moment at commentaries on people's lives. We've seen just this week, haven't we, with Keir Starmer, and he must resign because of what's happened with his connections with Epstein and all of these sorts of things. Where does grace fit into that story? I don't have those answers necessarily, but I think they're things that bother us quite a lot of the time. And one of the most significant books I read when I was younger, in Christian terms, was What's So Amazing About Grace. Some of you remember that book by Philip Yancey, who you may have seen in the Christian press recently, has, what's the expression, fallen from grace? He's had an affair, and that's become public. And so there's been debate about the standing of his writing and his works and his life. Does that cancel out what was an actually really helpful book and experience in his life? I find those things quite challenging, really, to get my head round.
But I think if you read John's Gospel, you'll find Philip Yancey there, and his name's Peter.
Yeah.
That's the reality, isn't it? Because actually here is Peter, who is sort of saying, I'll love you more than all these disciples. But then when it comes to the crunch, he's the one that, fails to do that, and whose life has to be kind of drawn back together and recommissioned by Jesus, just like the pot, the golden thread has to be kind of re-established, kind of rebuilt into him. I think that's, it's a really significant thing, isn't it? That actually God meets us in our vulnerability. God meets us in our brokenness. And the bread of life is broken for the life of the world. That's the meaning of the cross, it seems to me.
Which is quite contrary to the cancel culture that we're experiencing, just generally in society, isn't it? The one strike and you're out almost. And there are issues around justice, I think, that are within that, and forgiveness that are within that are difficult to grapple with. But I personally find just huge hope in the image of that Japanese pottery, that its whole story is there and made even more so by the golden glue, the threads that bring it back together and make it whole.
That picture of the pot for me reminds me of the experience we had going back to the Newcastle district visit we took place a week or so ago. We had an opportunity to be a part of they've got a place called Recovery Church in Brunswick, Methodist Church, and it's a men's group that met there. And it was the most profound hour really of this year, I would say, for me, because it was that golden thread was these men of all ages from multiple backgrounds and contexts and stories, but yet coming together in different stages of their sobriety as well. Some very much about to receive kind of their, certificate or AA, kind of beginning that journey. Some a few years on, a little bit later on, but all of it was this wonderful sense of in their brokenness of sharing together was this almost, you couldn't even put a kind of a label to it, just this, kind of a togetherness of grace, bringing them together in their vulnerability. And some of them wouldn't have articulated their own faith, I dare say. Many of them would probably articulate they're on a spiritual journey in that space. But nevertheless, it was a profound kind of picture of what does it look like to be vulnerable in brokenness, but recognizing that in that brokenness, God is forming something new, and doing so sometimes gently, or for some of them quite harshly, actually. That's quite a painful process, and they personified what it felt like to receive grace from one another. The one thing I would say that they would describe this kind of gathering of men together. One of them would say when you step into the room with these guys, it's like being around a group of dogs, because they're all really happy to see one another, and they all greet each other like they're really happy to see one another. That again speaks to the power of what does welcome look like in your spaces and places, and how's that felt, how's that experienced. But for me, that picture of that pot just brought me back to that story of being in Brunswick and experiencing that hour with those guys was just a real privilege to be a part of their story, just for a moment to listen into it. It was powerful.
Wonderful. Thank you. We need to pull the threads of this conversation together, I think. Sorry, folks.
There's going to be a jar that you've got to put money in at some point.
But thank you. It seems to me we've gone quite deep, quite quickly, into some really important things there. And I hope there'll be a sense of us having the space to unpack some of this stuff throughout the weekend and then, of course, beyond. But thank you for just gently but inspiringly just taking us into thinking and reflecting upon God's grace, this amazing, bounteous gift which Wesley discovered reaches out and comes to us sometimes when we're least expecting it, but then the gift that keeps on giving if we're able to continue to be open and real. And the examples of some of those recovery groups about what it is to be open to each other and to really do the hard stuff, as you said, together. That was what Methodists used to do, wasn't it? We used to do the hard stuff together. And that's probably real fellowship more than a moderately warm cup of tea and a naff biscuit. You know, it's the real stuff, isn't it? Where God's grace continues to be at work, transforming us. And as some of you will know, oh, you'll be rid of me soon, you know. But the danger, I keep saying, the danger is we're a naggy church where we just think we just think we need to nag each other to be a bit nicer. And that is not the gospel of Jesus Christ. The gospel of Jesus Christ is that God's grace has the capacity to change us from the inside out and transform us into more and more of the perfect love that we see in Jesus Christ. That's the gospel, God's work within us. And that's you've led us into that, I think, so well. So thank you. Let's pause and pray, and then we're going to have a final song, and then we'll close out. Let's pray. Loving God, I just want to thank you that you're here for every single person who's here tonight, and for every person who will gather with us as part of Flourish over this weekend. You're here for us, and you know us. You know us better than we know ourselves. You know us from the inside out. You know how we tick. You know the things that we carry. You know the things that we hardly dare to admit to ourselves, let alone anybody else. You know us inside out, and you love us as if there's only us to love. Thank you, Lord. And thank you that your grace has the power to transform our lives as you pour your loving grace, goodness, kindness into us. So wherever we're at tonight, Lord, I simply pray for more of your grace to flow into our lives. That we would step into the journey of this weekend, seeking to be open in a new way to you and to each other. That your grace might abound in our lives. And this we humbly but boldly pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. There is a chaplaincy team, thank you. There's a prayer team. If you'd like to find somebody quietly, then just make yourself known to someone in a high-vis jacket, or Ruth or myself, or just have a quiet word, and people will be glad to talk with you.
I was really struck when we were chatting, and then when Leslie was praying about how grace comes through honesty and openness, and just that sense of an encouragement that says, let's talk about the tough stuff. Let's not hide, because it's in that vulnerability and that openness, like stories that we've heard, where God really does meet us in fresh ways. And just an encouragement. This is an opportunity to talk about the tough stuff and to know that grace abounds.
Thank you. Richard, Matt, thank you so much. And our prayers for you as the year continues. Our thanks for being here for the weekend with your families. Thank you. There'll be opportunities for you to be sharing with us throughout the program. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ruth. And thank you, Zac, and the team. Thank you so much for leading our musical worship so wonderfully tonight. And you're going to close us out now. Thank you. Thank you. Amen. So tonight, the night is young. We've got a little break at 9:30-ish. Then Zac and band will be here. So if you'd love to continue in worship then please come back here for then. In the Flourish Theatre, so that's just into the other main block where the marketplace is, and the marketplace will be opening up as people get the stalls set up. So do spend some time there. But in the Flourish Theatre in that building, Adrian Plass, I haven't seen him for years. Adrian Plass is going to be offering some great entertainment and reflection. And then in the Kairos Yurt, that you'll see on the way into the marketplace, there's Compline at 9:30. As you make your way out of here, as you go downstairs, then you'll start to see the wonderful prayer stations and places of reflection that have been offered. A great team that's put together some of that stuff. And the wonderful artwork and reflective stuff that we've got here on the stage. Isn't it wonderful? Thanks to so many people who've contributed in so many ways to bring this together. So there's lots to be about. And then in the morning, we're kicking off with 9 o'clock with various different acts of worship. And then we've got some Bible study and more conversation happening through the morning. Loads of worship, workshops in the afternoon. Great worship at night. Oh my word, it's all to happen, isn't it? That's great. So I hope you've you got your Duracell batteries in and you're up for it. Let's make the most of it. Okay. Loving God, thank you for this evening as we've gathered and as we've come here, a people longing to grow in grace. Thank you that you long to share that grace with us. May your blessing now go with us this night. Give us rest and sleep as we need it. Help us to be ready to embrace all that will be about the day tomorrow. In the name of Christ, amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone.